But I'm finding so many people, it's like, you know what? I thought I was thinking about writing a book or a blog about my experiences. And I'm like, yeah, that's exactly why I started the podcast, because I was going to do the same. But this is such a fun outlet.
Don't you think we're all kind of like ready to burst out of that bubble though? We're like, hey, let's take the cap off of this. Like, we're ready to tell our experiences.
Welcome to Secrets of a Sugar Daddy. Here's your host, Marcus.
Welcome to this week's episode of Secrets of a Sugar Daddy. I am Marcus, and in studio today, I have the lovely Angie.
Hello.
Welcome back. We teased this episode last time.
Yeah.
And I'm ready to get into it. You changed your profile. We did a little experiment. We talked about this a few episodes ago.
Mm-hmm. We talked about what men were really looking for from a sugar experience.
Right. So I saw your new profile.
Did you?
And it said girlfriend experience.
Yes.
What are the responses that you've been getting now? What kind of messages are you getting? Is it a different quality of people? Spill the beans.
Well, I changed my name to Girlfriend Experience. So now you all know who I am on there. And I changed my profile picture a little bit too.
It's sexy.
You like it?
I do.
Thank you. So I definitely have been getting a very different type of sugar daddy response to my profile now.
Okay, so you've been on for 2 years, so you've got some good data.
I do.
All right. What kind of responses are you getting compared to the old ones?
Okay, so my old profile, I had like a nice booty shot and it was just more sexually charged. Mm-hmm. So I feel like I got a lot of attention from people who were just looking for, you know, meet and greets, kind of more of a one night encounter, that type of thing, which is fine. Since I've switched to this profile, I'm definitely getting a more mature, a more serious type of interaction, you know, from men.
Is that what you're looking for, or is this really just an experiment?
No, I think it is what I'm looking for now. I think that's what's so interesting about like everything is progression and learning. And so when I first went on the site a couple of years ago, I really thought that's just what the site was. It was, you know, really more about the sexual interactions and things like that. But as I've grown, I have started to definitely want more quality relationships from my sugar daddies. It's definitely something that has changed over the last probably 6 months.
So now when you respond to these messages, the tone is completely different?
It is. It's kinder. Mm-hmm. It's a little more gentle. It's less crude. It's instead of
there's some real dogs out there.
I mean, there's still some dogs out there. Mm-hmm. It's not a magic like fix, I guess. Mm-hmm. But definitely a lot more sincere questions and like wanting to get to know me, actual like asking for real dates and to go out and do things instead of just wanting to have meetups. Mm-hmm. So it's good so far.
So what's the tone of the meetups been? The same? Like kind of on the same lines or what?
No, I mean, they've gone from being kind of like just quick coffee meet and greets or, hey, can I just meet you at your house or my house, or to actually like having a nice dinner, which is interesting because we talked about that. And we had said that we didn't love spending that much time like on a first meet and greet, but I've kind of enjoyed feeling like I'm actually on a date occasionally now, which I found interesting because I didn't think that's what I wanted. Mm-hmm. So it's been good, like nicer dinners, more conversation, a little more getting to know you instead of just, you know, wanting to jump in bed with you.
Right. So do you think you're going to keep this profile for a while?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I'm getting to a place where I'd really like to find like maybe just one sugar daddy that I really connect well with. Mm-hmm. One or two, you know.
Because you've been juggling a few.
I have. And I've really enjoyed that. I feel like it was really important to my journey, you know, through the sugar baby life to kind of explore and experiment. And we've talked about my past. So learning all of the things that I've learned, you know, my sexuality and self-worth and self-discovery. I think that was really important. But now I'm kind of slowing down.
You've sowed your wild oats.
Do you think that's what it is? Is
Maybe.
it like that for the men too?
Well, it was kind of like our guest last week. You know, he's like, oh my God, I've got this hall pass. This is the best thing ever. And then you kind of get through that point and you start wanting something a little bit more consistent, a little bit more real.
Yeah, I like what you said, that I had time to like sow my wild oats. Like I got to go out there and like really explore and play and jump in and, you know, get my feet wet. But now I'm kind of slowing down a little bit and wanting a little more quality, a little more consistency, and a little more connection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. You're back on the site. Amy is back on the site. And I'm back on the site. So it's been a very interesting last few weeks. I joined again partly for podcast research.
Right.
But I've actually met a few people or reconnected with a few people that I'd met before. And it was so much different than it was a couple years ago.
Really?
So just for instance, I met somebody for brunch or something, or actually we just had coffee at a little cafe. And the conversation was completely different this time when I met her for a drink. She'd been on the site for 2 years now, and she'd kind of experienced kind of what you were experiencing. And now she's ready a little bit more for a consistent, more meaningful type of an encounter, meaningful type of arrangement. So it was quite interesting, the second conversation, and actually it was so much better than when she was brand new on the site.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, we both didn't have much going on yesterday, being a holiday, and kind of had an enjoyable afternoon, which led into the evening.
Very nice.
Watched a football game that had an ending that I wasn't too happy about, so she made me feel better about the whole thing. But it was so nice. Like she was a little bit older and a little more mature, and actually knew who the Brady Bunch was.
Oh,
Where
I declined to comment.
I've come across people who didn't know how my family dynamic set up. Another interesting point about it: she comes from a very religious, strict background.
That's so interesting. So many of us have that in common.
Right. I run into that so often.
Right.
What is it?
Rebellion.
Yeah.
Like we are just tired of being oppressed sexually, and we're like, no more.
And it's not like they lose their spirituality.
But they're getting rid of the shame.
Something.
That's what it is. Because again, we connect. Do you remember what I said on the one podcast? We connect morality with sexuality so much. And that's not the case, because immorality is when you're causing harm to someone else, if you're lying and if you're cheating. And I'm not saying that those things don't happen, but I'm just saying we connect morality and sexuality together too much, that if we're very free sexually, people assume we're immoral. And so we carry that that need for secrecy and shame instead of just being free to explore and express our sexuality, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's just mind-blowing on how many people I meet that they'll say, oh, I came from a very strict Mormon background or Pentecostal background as you came from. And, you know, I grew up Southern Baptist, and then actually I joined the Mormon church when I was in my 20s. I haven't been active for a long time, but there's just a lot of answers I was looking for, and I kind of found some answers in different parts, but not all the answers I was looking for.
Do you think that's why the experience changes so much as you go through the sugar daddy lifestyle, if you will? Like when I first started, a lot of the purpose for me was financial and to explore and to experience. But 2 years in, my business personally is a lot more successful. You know, I've had a lot of experiences on the site. So now things are changing for me in terms of what I want, because I've grown so much from where I started. In good ways and bad, though. And I think that's something that people don't really talk about. And we kind of touched on this, even though my experience has been amazing. After one of our podcasts, Marcus, we had discussed, is there a normal dating after the sugar life?
I don't think there is.
And I don't think there is, because it does change you in the way that you view relationships. Yeah. Has it changed for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I just have, for some reason, I have a lot more confidence when I go out with somebody on
Right.
SA. We've talked about this so often, but I just feel like I can be very honest
Right.
and not ashamed of what my desires are, and very open to talking about those. I mean, even with the girl that I saw last night, a woman, she's 38 years old. She's still a girl to me. We sat there and go, okay, we need to have this uncomfortable conversation. I said, no, let's go. Let's have it. And it was actually very comfortable. And it was kind of talking about what our expectations were for this arrangement,
Right.
the financial expectations, and what we expect to do when we go out.
Right.
What are our desires? And so I told her what my ideal arrangement was. And then she kind of expressed hers. She's like, okay, we're aligned in so many parts. You're probably a little heavier on this part than I am available for. But for the most part, I think this could work. And it's so refreshing
Right.
having this conversation.
So what I want to ask though is, for me, I totally agree with that because we've discussed it before, but I'm finding that need and that ability to be transparent, honest, and authentic is kind of following me through, not just in my relationships or encounters on the site. Like, it's really building just a core of authenticity and need to be completely honest in general. Do you see that it's, for you, that you're more confident and comfortable just speaking your truth in general?
Yes, like in business or
Right.
in any other transactions, or throughout the whole realm of everything we do every day.
Right.
It's helped.
Me too.
Matter of fact, this podcast has helped tremendously. It's unbelievable now that the conversations I have when I'm meeting people, I find myself quoting the podcast. I'm like, oh,
Right.
in this episode we talked about, exactly this.
So it really does grow you, like, in confidence and, so many different things in such a positive way, being on the site and having these relationships. But I think there are some drawbacks too. I think as a woman, like, some of the drawbacks for me is being viewed kind of, and now that I've changed my profile, it's not as much, but being viewed as like just a sexual object starts to get a little bit tiring, because you start to question, okay, do I have worth and do I have value
Right, yeah.
if I'm not offering sex to people? And does it affect men that way, or you that way? Or I know that's a tough question. I'm digging in.
Right. I think for me, well, it's like I've talked about before. I don't want you to come over and just have sex and leave.
Right. But everyone knows in reality. And I hear you say that. And like, we all know that. But in reality, we also know that that's what we're meeting for.
Well, yes. And then there are times that that's exactly what I want. So, I wrestle with that sometimes, and I try to make them not feel like they're just a sexual toy.
Right. And you're fabulous at that. But I mean, as a man, I guess my question is, as a man, because you're constantly, I guess, cut to the chase, since you're constantly offering money or dates or vacation or whatever it is for that companionship, does your self-esteem or your ego, do you ever like get into a train of thought where you're like thinking about that, like, would these people enjoy me if I wasn't offering them this?
Yeah. So I had kind of an incident come up just recently with somebody that I really liked, and we'd gone out like 4 or 5 times, yet to have any sex, any sexual encounters.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And she's just like, I don't want to give it up too quickly. I understand, right? But after a while, the guy has his needs, right?
100%.
So, and it's one of these arrangements that I kind of jumped the gun on. Like, I really liked her, but in the very beginning, I set up a weekly allowance with her. And then I realized I'm not even going to be here for 2 or 3 weeks, and here I'm going to be paying this person a weekly allowance, and I'm not even around to kind of enjoy what I've signed up for. I contacted her. I said, look, I explained the situation. I may have jumped the gun. I apologize. It's not that I don't want to see you, but I think we'd be better off going on a per meet type of a date until we really get to know each other. I mean, we haven't even had sex yet.
Right.
And
that's very generous of you.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I've had people that were so bad at that part that I really just have lost my desire to see them, even though they were great on the other end. You know, they were fun dates. I kind of need a more complete package. We met up on, what was it? Monday, I think it was. And we went out, and again, we had a fun date, no sex, and she just did not want to go there.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I hadn't discussed with her a per meet amount.
Right.
So I gave her a very generous amount. It wasn't quite the weekly, but it was very close. And she sent me a PayPal request for the remainder.
Oh.
And she says, hey, we agreed on this amount. And I'm like, well, no, that was our weekly allowance.
Right.
And when we were on weekly, we actually went out a couple times per week when I first started it. So I was like, look, what I gave you was very generous for just a dinner date.
Do you think this is what she does? Maybe?
No, she's new on the site.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's very new to it. So it just has rubbed me the wrong way. So I went ahead and sent it to her. I like, look, we never discussed what it was going to be per meet, but I gave you a very generous amount. I'll go ahead and complete the weekly amount that I was giving you, but
this isn't working.
I said, but this feels very one-sided. I'm doing all the spoiling. And oddly enough, in her profile, it says on it, I spoil back. That is what she leads with her profile. So I'm like, wait, where is the spoiling back part?
So she's just very timid in that area, not quite sure what to do
and she's lost a lot of weight. She actually had half of her stomach. Most of it's taken out.
Yeah.
And she looks fantastic, but she has some loose skin. But she wasn't afraid of showing that to me, and I looked at it that night, and she showed it to me. But then as we kind of started getting cuddly and getting more intimate, boy, she put a stop to it. Yeah. And I'm like, I mean, that's fine, but what I gave her was super generous. Like, for just a few hour dinner date.
Is she the one who came from the religious background?
They all come from a religious background.
She may have just been overwhelmed, like in that moment, with like all those feelings of like, okay, what do I do?
This is like our fourth or fifth date.
You're like, no,
there's
no excuse.
Yeah, this is not the first date.
I'm trying to play the devil's advocate here, Marcus. You're not.
Yeah. So
anyway,
as soon as I got the PayPal request for the additional amount, that just really rubbed me the wrong way.
I will say it's very kind of you that you were so generous and you took such good care of her. So, ladies, if you can find his profile on the site, definitely
unfortunately,
hit Marcus
my
up.
dance card's a little over full. I'm trying. The problem I have now is when I get on the site, I find so many good prospects, I guess you would say, or good options, and I'm trying to narrow those down because I don't want a bunch.
Right.
First of all, it blows my budget. It's very expensive. And then second, I just don't have that much time.
Right.
So I'd like to try to find something that's a little bit more balanced that I can focus in on.
I feel like we're all kind of at the same point in our journey, which is so interesting. I will tell you, I've had a few really amazing dates since I changed my profile.
Really? Do tell.
One, we went out for dinner and we had amazing drinks. We're actually going out again tonight.
Oh.
And honestly, we haven't even discussed allowance and any of that yet.
Really?
Because we've just gotten along really well and the company was so great. I had one date, and this is kind of interesting because this is where I can see that it might be a little bit tricky navigating the girlfriend experience, because I went out with one individual. We had an amazing evening. We went out to dinner. We went to a car show. You would have loved it.
Really?
I got to ride in very fun cars.
Yeah, I am jealous.
Yeah. And then we went, drinks, dancing afterwards. And it was a lot of fun. And we spent time together. And, I got my allowance and all that. But then I get a message a couple days later that, I really like you, but I want to really date you. So if I just take you out for dinner and stuff, there won't be an allowance. It got so complicated. This individual is like, if we go out for dinner and drinks and you just want to go on a date with me, there's no allowance. If after the date you want to be intimate with me, then no allowance. But if I want to be intimate with you and you don't really want to, then you can get an allowance. And in my head, I'm thinking, well, I'm just always going to act like I don't want to be intimate with you. But it just got so complicated. So I can see where.
So wait, are you still
crazy as
going?
shit,
Yeah,
right?
that
I
is
know.
nuts.
Oh my God.
All these stipulations,
Like all these little rules.
So are you still going out with this person?
No, way too much.
This is ridiculous.
That was ridiculous. But
what does he think the premise of the site is?
It's because he wants like half girlfriend and half sugar baby.
So
like
this might be some of the problems
Right.
that you encounter with this new profile.
But it is making it a little bit more difficult to bring up like terms. It's interesting because like when you start to backwards into that girlfriend land, then you lose, I guess, a little bit maybe of the authenticity that we love so much. But I'm going to keep pushing forward with it because I
Right.
do think overall it's definitely working the way that I want it to. It's just a new learning experience, and I'm going to have to like kind of, figure out how
Your
to
conversations
navigate it.
might be a little different. They might lead a little different direction. You might just have to steer them kind of back to.
Right.
Do you talk about your profile with them? Like,
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
In fact, the person that I'm going out with tonight, he listened to the podcast and he almost canceled our first meeting.
Why?
Because my first podcast I did with you, he kind of got a different impression of me, of what he was looking for. Then we met and we got along great. And he was so excited that, we still went ahead and met. So, but I definitely tell everyone about the podcast. But it's interesting because I definitely think venturing into, it's just different territory when you get into the girlfriend experience because it brings along different things. It's not just the PPM, the pay per meet. People are looking for real connection, more time together. It's a little more involved. I'm just not sure yet how to quantify that as far as my time and my effort is valuable as well. And I still want to make sure that that's compensated for.
Sure.
So maybe if there's any beautiful, wonderful sugar babies out there that would like to give me some advice. I know that Amy does really well with more longer term, consistent.
Yeah, hers tend to be longer term.
Right.
And I don't even know how it gets that way. I think,
She's just adorable and people like her and want her around a lot.
yeah, she's like your girl next door, and she's very real,
Right.
and she's a little bit unlike most girls on the site. It's funny because her and I never ever talked about compensation or anything, and she just kind of stuck around.
Right.
Like she just always showed up like a lost puppy at my house, but I enjoyed having her around.
Right.
Yeah, we got into a lot of great conversations.
She's fantastic. It's definitely been interesting so far. I've definitely gotten a much higher quality type of response, what I would say is a higher quality individual. They really want to know about me, which is kind of nice. They really want to ask a lot of questions and take me out and like vacations, or they're just more genuine.
So I had this question come up.
Yeah.
So the girl that I met for drinks the other day and that spent Thanksgiving with me, she says, so I've listened to the podcast.
Oh, okay.
She said, I've listened to a few episodes. What was the question she had for it? It's just weird that people start knowing things about me before I meet them, or they have kind of this predetermined view of what I want, because I talk about being non-monogamous, talking about having different flavors of the week, or,
Of course.
and this is what she asked me. She says, so are you open to a monogamous type relationship? And I am. Actually, I wouldn't mind that with the right person.
Right.
But I think from the podcast, and she hasn't got too deep in the episodes yet, but from the first episodes, it kind of sounds like I'm juggling 7, 8, 9, 10 people, which I'm really not.
Me too. And I'm not quite that many. I'm slowing down.
Amy told me a number, and it was kind of big.
My number?
Yeah,
Oh,
maybe.
yeah, maybe.
But I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
But she juggles also like 3 or 4
it depends.
at different times.
I was gonna say it really just depends. I would say my number probably is normally around 6.
Yeah.
But like if I say 6, I'm like a lot of people. I might see one of those 6 once a month or every 2 months.
Yeah.
But like we're just familiar, so like we know each other. But also, there might be times when I see more men in 1 month, depending on what my mood is, or or if I start getting into something really consistent, it'll slow down. Everything is kind of just based on variables.
Sometimes people just disappear.
Right,
like
100%.
I've had 5 or 6 or 7 that I was been kind of talking to, and then all of a sudden I'm down to 2 because 4 of them just disappeared.
Right.
They're just like gone. I can't, I'll message them and they're just gone.
Or they circle back around here or there. And yeah. So, I mean, and I think everything has an ebb and a flow to it. So everyone's doing different things.
Like the Egyptian girl that we had on the podcast. I've seen her once in 2 months.
Oh,
She's
really?
actually back in Egypt right now.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
Her mother is ill. So she had to make an emergency trip back, and I haven't heard from her since. So, but she still counts as one of the people that I'm talking to. So that number can be deceiving.
It can be.
Yeah.
It can be. And honestly, again, like if I feel like, frisky that month or whatever is going on, I mean, it's totally based on mood. There's no, like I say, there's no shame in the game. I am just starting to feel, I think, a void where I'm lacking meaningful relationships in my life in general. And that probably has to do more with my age, than maybe anything. But I'm definitely craving more meaningful relationships and, less numbers, more quality.
Yeah.
So, but we're getting there.
So I'm getting bombarded with messages now that my profile is active again.
Oh, okay.
And I'm doing an experiment.
Are you the boyfriend experience?
You know what?
You should try it.
The boyfriend experience.
A dual experience.
That's interesting. Maybe I should try that. I am actually experimenting with my messages, my first messages to the women.
Okay.
And I'm having a pretty good return on investment, I guess you say, or
ROI.
I'm having a pretty good response rate, I guess you would say.
Okay.
Because a lot of times, let's say I narrow down 10 profiles that are attractive and I message them. I might get messages back from 3 or 4.
Okay.
Honestly, so many are fake. And I don't know what their purpose is, but I message them and I say, hey, I love your profile, and I stick something in there about the profile. These are not copy and paste.
Yay.
I think about
He's
that.
grown.
I think about that every time I copy and paste it in there. I will customize it a little bit to their message, and then I say, because they'll say something in their profile, and I can tell they've had experiences, or because they'll start listing the things that they don't want, or hey, don't contact me if blah, 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 because they've had a lot of this experience. So I'll comment in there, hey, I even talk about this on my pretty successful podcast, Secrets of a Sugar Daddy. Maybe you could even be a guest on the show and share your experience.
Look at you master marketer.
I'll tell you what, the response rate
there
has increased incredibly.
Well, yeah, everybody wants their 15 minutes of fame, Marcus.
Well,
which is okay. That's brilliant.
I've had some people say, if you're just contacting me to be on a podcast, I'm not interested. I'm like, no, I was contacting you because I liked your profile. And they're like, oh, because, somebody they really want discretion. They have no desire to share their story. But I'm finding so many people, it's like, you know what? I was thinking about writing a book or a blog about my experiences. And I'm like, yeah, that's exactly why I started the podcast, because I was going to do the same. But this is such a fun outlet.
Don't you think we're all kind of like ready to burst out of that bubble though? We're like, hey, let's take the cap off of this. Like we're ready to tell our experiences. I would love to know what people who listen to this podcast really want to know. Do we get a lot of questions? I guess I should have asked you that before.
We get feedback and we do get questions. Say, hey, I'm thinking of getting into this arrangement. I'd like your advice. Or my profile isn't getting the response rate that I think it should. Can you help me out there? Yeah, so if you guys have any feedback or want us to discuss anything or have any questions, by all means, go to our website, secretsofasugardaddy.com. There's a place you can fill that in. You don't have to put your real name. Put your email address, and we'll respond to you and even bring it up on the show.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought it would be fun if we could compile like 20, 25 questions or something and do a podcast where, a few of us get together and kind of
that would be fun. I'm actually working on that. We've read a few emails that I've gotten on the podcast, and it makes for a fun discussion.
Right.
So, I'm going to start compiling those And yeah, we'll have an episode where we just talk about the feedback and the questions that the users give us. So yeah, the more questions, the better, guys, gals. We'd love to hear from you.
I only have so many stories.
Oh, God.
Okay, I have a lot of stories, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I have a fun story I haven't told yet, or it wasn't too fun. So I've been making a lot of trips to Vegas.
Right.
And, now it's the holiday season, and it doesn't really start back up till next year. Although I may go back because I've been playing a lot of poker, and I haven't really experienced Vegas like
I might need you to change my memories of Vegas.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Remember?
Yeah, you had a bad experience.
I did. And you
didn't
fix
really
that
get to
for me.
experience the fun things. Yeah, let's go. So anyway, I met this girl. This is such a bad story. I'm so stupid sometimes. And this was actually a couple years ago. So I met this girl on the site. We had been talking before, but never really connected. And anyway, some reason I had her number, and I was just checking in. Hey, how you doing? I'm going to Vegas. What are you up to? And she's like, oh my God, I have family in Vegas. Can I go? And I thought she was just kidding. I'm like, sure, let's go. And she's like, seriously? I've got nothing going on this weekend. I'll go. I'm like, oh, this will be fun. Okay, let's do it. Let's just do it. I never even met her. We picked a spot to meet. Actually, she kind of was on the west side of town on the way.
Oh, nice.
So I stopped at like a QT or a convenience store, and she was there waiting. I picked her up, and she was a doll. She was actually really cute, bubbly, a little bit gothic, a little kind of emo type girl, but she was cute. And anyway, 4.5, 5 hour trip to Vegas. We had great conversation, and she was fantastic, just absolutely just a doll. So we get there, and I have a rental car.
Okay.
And so we get to Vegas, and I've got to go play the poker tournament. So I said, hey, I've got to go play this poker tournament. She goes, hey, well, do you mind if I drive the car over to my family's house? I'll be really careful. I was like, okay. I let her drive the rental car. So then we had a little bit of fun, but then she started getting a little bit like strung out.
Oh.
Yeah. Like her personality started changing a little bit. She started looking like she was stoned. Anyway, so I get this frantic call from her, and she says, somebody broke into the car. They broke the back window and stole all my stuff. And I'm like, what? She goes, yeah, they broke the back glass, and they stole all my things, and she's crying. And I'm like, well, where is the car? Blah, blah, blah. So anyway, I get done with my poker tournament. I can only imagine. What happened? She ended up coming and picking me up. She brought the car over, and I look over it, and the back window's busted. And I'm like, all right, that's fine. I'll get it fixed.
Okay, but who breaks out a back window?
I know, right?
To break into a car.
Yeah.
I mean, am I
It was like
only
the
one?
back. It was the driver's side passenger back seat.
Okay,
So it
not
was-
not the rear.
not the
window.
rear one. It was the
Okay.
passenger door on the driver's side.
Okay, that makes more
Yeah.
sense.
So I'm like, okay, fine. I'll get it fixed before I turn the car in. So she did something else, and she started really upsetting me. So she was at her family's house. She had some relatives there, and I said, look, I got to get back. You're going to have to find your own ride home. Yeah, because she was just all over the place. I can't remember exactly what happened, but it was a couple. But she'd upset me.
Maybe it wasn't family. Maybe it was an ex or something.
Yeah,
It
so-
sounds a little a little suspect.
So I drive back, and I go to a junkyard, and I go, hey, I need this window. And they said, yeah, it was like, I don't know, it was like $85 or something. It was pretty cheap. So I got this window, and one of my workers and I put it in, and I got it all fixed. I'm like, oh my God, I can turn this thing in? No problem. They'll never even know the window was broken. So I drive up to another friend's house, and I park in his driveway right before I was going to take the car back because I had to pick something up over there. Yeah. And he's standing in his driveway, and I get out of the car, and he goes, what happened to your front end of your car? And I look underneath there, the whole front end is just mashed, it's scraped, it's just like she ran into, I don't know what she ran into. But the whole front end was just crunched under and scraped. I never even saw it. Like I had no reason to even walk around to the front of the car. I was so focused on the back side of the window. Anyway, come to find out.
Maybe she broke the window. to distract
Yeah,
you from
that's exactly what she did.
the front
that's
end.
Because when I picked her up, she wasn't upset anymore. Like all of a sudden she was fine. Well, come to find out, she got so strung out on Xanax and some other things because she finally admitted. And then she just disappeared, and I had to take it in and get it repaired, and it cost me like $1,000 to get it all repaired.
Kidding me.
Oh my God. What a nightmare.
That definitely is tops.
All right, so men,
it tops the list.
do not let a strange girl borrow a rental car, especially off SA, because, oh my gosh. That was a lesson learned. Stupid, stupid, stupid.
I think that we should do a podcast where I just get to ask you questions. We can do like the 20 questions game.
Yeah.
And I can just ask you lots of questions. Everybody, I know you've told a lot of your stories, but I feel like there's some fun stuff.
Oh, I haven't even.
Because I had not heard that one.
That's the first time I've told anybody that story, actually.
But it's fabulous.
Oh.
In a very sad way.
Yeah. Now, I did have a really fun experience. I can't remember if I told this one or not, but we'll tell it again. So I took this girl to Vegas. Actually, I met this girl on Tinder many, many years ago. We never connected. And Dua Lipa was playing a concert.
Oh, I love her.
In Vegas. And so I couldn't find anybody to go with. And I invited this girl to go with me. And she actually said, well, I'll fly up there and meet you. We weren't in any arrangement or anything. It was just we kind of knew each other through right when I first got on, started dating.
On Tinder?
Yeah.
Tinder is the stuff dreams are made of.
Right. She met me there, and we're at the concert, and she says, I've got to go to the restroom. And the concert just started.
Oh.
And she never came back. Just disappeared.
She just disappeared?
Yeah.
What is the craziest? Look, I'm starting 20 questions today.
Well, I got to finish the story.
Oh, that was. I thought that was the end if she disappeared.
Oh, there's much more to this story.
She left. Goodbye.
So apparently she got sick. She had eaten something because we'd eaten something before and it didn't sit well with her and she got sick. So she went back to the room.
Okay.
And she's like, I feel so embarrassed. I went and I threw up and I think I might have food poisoning. I don't know what's going on with me. She, messaged me like after the concert because I'm like, where are you? What happened? So anyway, I go back to the room. She had packed up and flown home.
She was just gone.
She packed up and she goes, I'm so sick. I've got to get back. And she flew home.
Okay.
Which was kind of weird.
There's some questions that arise from
that. But I think she was being pretty honest. I have no I don't know why she wouldn't be honest.
If I'm ill and vomiting, getting on a plane is not probably
it was kind of weird too.
First thing I want to do. But
so anyway, now I'm stuck in Vegas, and I'm like, what the hell? I had a whole weekend planned.
And you're not on SA at this point.
I am.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I had an active profile. So I'm like, well, I guess I'm going to have to find a girl here to hang out with. So I found this girl from Florida, and she was in town. And I think on her profile it said, hey, I'm just in town for the week. Anybody want to show me around? So I responded to her, and I was like, yeah, hey, I'm free. Let's do it. So I went and picked her up. She was at her stylist, like she was getting her nails done. Mm-hmm. And so she goes, well, I'm at this place getting my nails done. If you want to come pick me up, I don't have a ride. And I actually need a place to stay tonight. And I go, oh, well, you can stay at my place. And anyway, she was cute.
Girls get away with so much more than
she was a doll
than men.
She was she was really good looking. Matter of fact, she had big breast for her size, and she had breast reduction surgery.
Oh my!
Like within the last 6 months or something.
Nice.
Yeah. So she was well proportioned, and I said, "What do you want to do while you're here in Vegas?" And she says, "I want to jump off the top of the stratosphere."
Okay. Because they do, don't they have like a bungee jumping?
It's not even bungee. It's kind of like a free fall, except they have these wires to you and they break you when you come down to slow you down. But you basically jump off. Right. It's not a bungee because you land on the bottom.
Okay.
I had no idea they had that. I've been up there. I've done the rides where they shoot you straight up, or the one that they kind of shoot you off the edge, and then the other one called Insanity, where you get in a chair and then it kind of rocks back and goes in circles over the edge. I've done those.
Right.
I've never jumped off the stratosphere, and I never had any desire to jump off the stratosphere.
Did you jump too?
So we jumped off the stratosphere.
You did it with her.
I have photos. I'll
Good
show
for
you. It's so fun. So we had this amazing experience, and she actually had a GoPro, and she filmed herself all the way down, and I filmed her coming down, and and everything.
It's like she had it planned.
Yeah.
It's like she had an agenda. Like, I'm going to
Yeah.
get my nails done. I'm going to jump off the side of the fucking stratosphere. I'm going to have my GoPro ready.
Yeah.
Like,
She was pretty adventurous.
She knew what she wanted.
Yeah, she was pretty
I like
adventurous.
it.
Yeah, we did a lot of really fun things, and I had an absolutely great time that weekend.
That sounds fun.
Better than I actually ever imagined it was going to go.
I wonder as a woman on the site if I could just like city hop, like pick out 5 cities that I wanted to visit and like have meetups during my travels
Right.
and just see what that experience would be like and the
Yeah.
places I could go and things. I'm probably not going to do it,
So I'm going to
but it sounds interesting.
So as much fun as I had with this girl, she kind of bailed on me like the second or towards the second day. And then she was which was fine. I was doing my own thing too.
Sure.
We had a lot of fun. And it wasn't like she bailed. Well, kind of. She said, "Hey, I've got some friends. I'm going to go meet up with them. I hope you don't mind." I was like, no, I've got some things I'm going to do too. So, and I didn't. So then she calls me and she says, "Hey, I got to fly home tomorrow. I'm at this place. Can you go ahead and buy my ticket? And then I will pay you back when I get back to the room." I'm like, okay. And it wasn't really that expensive, but anyway, so she comes back to the room and then she spends the night there. And then she sneaks out real early in the morning and never gave me the money. And for some reason, it just really pissed me off. So I canceled her ticket. I did.
That's epic.
And so you know what happened? She goes, and I told her because we've gotten a big argument, and then she started lying to me. And then and that's what pissed me off. She started lying to me. And so I canceled the ticket on her way to the airport. And then she got there, and she tried to check in, and it said that the ticket was no longer valid. So she sat there and cried, and a guy behind her ended up paying for her ticket home.
Wow.
So she told me this whole story. She goes, "Oh, I got it taken care of. I just act like I was really upset and cried, and this guy paid for it."
It sounds like she
Oh, she
knows
was good.
exactly
Yeah.
how to get what she wants and where she's
and she was
going.
just cute enough and kind of bubbly enough where
good for
she
her.
could do that. So anyway, I do have good memories about her though. It was a lot of fun, and I did something that I would have never done, but it kind of ended a little weird.
Right. Well, I mean,
Usually I wouldn't do that. Like I wouldn't just cancel somebody's ticket and leave them stranded. I
did
just remember she really, first of all, she didn't come through. Was going to stay, and then she out and out lied to me.
Mm-hmm.
And
because if she needed you to buy the ticket, she could have just asked, "Hey, I need this money for the ticket," or something, right? You don't have to.
Yeah.
You don't have to try to skip town.
Right. Yeah.
What's
So
the
she kind of skipped out on
What's
me.
the craziest like upfront thing someone has asked you for? Say you're talking to somebody and you're messaging, and you're going to do like a meet and greet or whatever, but like before you've actually decided to do an arrangement or come to terms, like what is the most outlandish thing that someone has been like, "This is what I expect from you"?
Well, I talked about the story where the girl said, "I don't want any of your money. I have my own. I'm very successful, but my birthday is on Tuesday. So if you want to meet on Sunday at the mall, you can buy me a couple gifts, but I don't want any of your money." So we met at the mall, and then she instantly gave me her address and says, "Here's my address so we can go there afterwards." And I'm thinking, all right. And this girl was so amazingly beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Like people at this fashion mall would stop and stare at her because she commanded the room. She
Right.
was so gorgeous. And she goes over to Neiman Marcus, starts looking at Chanel bags,
Oh,
$4,400. This is the second time I even met her. Started looking at jewelry, David Yurman jewelry or something, and it was like $4,000 or $5,000. And she's like, "Oh, I really like this. How's this look on me? Will you buy it for me for my birthday?"
wow.
Yeah. The problem was I had just paid off one of my credit cards. I had a lot of room.
Oh
and
no, you did not.
I ended up buying one of those for her birthday.
Marcus.
Oh.
Okay, ladies.
That was pretty outlandish,
again,
but here's the
you guys need to boo this man up. He's
but the bad part is when she said, "All right, I'm done shopping. I don't want to shop anymore. Let's go back to my place." I'm like, yeah, I'm ready for this.
yeah.
So the address I went to was fake.
You have got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
No.
And then she blocked my number.
I am so sorry. I mean, that honestly
Yeah.
makes me really
Yeah. I wasn't the only guy she did
righteously angry.
I actually went on Google.
No, it sounds like she has a pretty good scam she's
No,
running.
I went on Google and Googled her username, and I found other guys who had complained that she did the exact same thing to them.
Yeah. Well, I have some, as we chatted about last week, I have some pretty fancy schmancy IT people in my entourage. So
Yeah.
if that ever happens again.
But what are you going to do? Like, what are you going to
know.
do? Call the police and say, hey, I gave this girl a gift
Put a bag of burning poop on their porch? I mean,
because we were supposed to go back to her place and then
Something.
she gave me the wrong address. I mean, that's a stupid ass story
no, okay.
to the police or
There-
to somebody that has any, what are you going to do? And she knows that.
Nothing that we can discuss on the podcast. That's for sure.
I tried to search her for a while. She went to Toronto and then,
Crazy.
yeah, and her profile was active for a long time, but it's not anymore. And she's probably under a new profile. I just haven't found it. But what am I going to do?
I mean, what can you do?
I can't do anything.
Okay, so I do want to circle around just because we just get so chatty. I think I just want to interview you. But the girlfriend experience. So to kind of finish that off, so far it's been really good.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely a lot more intimate, a lot more conversation, much higher quality men. I'm hoping to get, like I said, a longer term, more committed arrangement. Ideally, that's really what I
Yeah.
would like at this point. If it turns into something more, I'm actually not opposed to that, which is crazy for me to say because I was vehemently anti
Right.
relationship. And I think that this is starting to pave the way for that because I'm meeting men who are on that same page. So I'm really excited. Like, we'll kind of touch base and stuff, and I'll keep you posted. It's just going to be new to learn how to navigate new waters. How to set boundaries is kind of the tough part
Yeah.
because when you say girlfriend experience and then someone starts to like you, they kind of immediately start to think, oh, well, it tends to get a little one-sided with me giving and them taking. So
Well, this is an ongoing experience.
Yes.
And you're going to be an ongoing co-host.
Yeah.
So we are definitely going to discuss this in the future. And maybe I will try
boyfriend experience.
No, I just can't see myself doing that. Because that's not really what I want.
But I don't know, you kind of like, you have this really adorable sweetness that like just runs through you though. Are you sure that's not what you want? Because
I'll have to think about that. I'll have to do some
introspective work.
Right.
Yeah. No, I mean, you can want whatever you want, but every time you tell stories, you're always like just the sweetest guy. And I know you. So I know.
Well, and
I know
Joseph,
you
our
really are a
last
sweet
guest,
guy.
I felt for him too because he was so naive and so sweet and so giving, and for him to get scammed out of $12,000
So much.
online over a 6-month period, and I can just see in the beginning you
don't know.
Yeah, you don't know, and
You don't know.
You just think everybody is like you,
Right.
and they're not.
No.
So you just
They're
got to
not.
be careful.
Well, I
But
can't
there
wait
are
to hear more of your stories.
There's so many gems in there, and there's so many just rough diamonds in there. People are waiting to be polished into something magnificent, and you just got to dig through those.
I'm waiting to be polished.
Yeah, so am I.
Come and
All
find
right.
me.
And with that, we are going to end this episode. I appreciate Angie coming in today.
Thank you. It was fun. It always is.
It's always a great time. Find us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. Follow us, and certainly come to our website. We really enjoy the comments. And like I said, we're going to put something together with your feedback. So go there and tell us your story. And then if you want to be on the show, we would love to schedule you and have a lot of fun hearing your story. So until next time, with Angie, we'll
And
see you
Mark.
later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us. If you'd like to connect or even be on the show, we'd love to hear from you at secretsofasugardaddy.com.